Today we're going to make cream cheese mousse to put into our cream cheese and Irish Stout Cake trifle. So I've whipped 1 quart of heavy cream, and I didn't put anything in this, no powdered sugar or anything, because this will be for the cream cheese mousse. Perfect. So I have 12 ounces of cream cheese and 1 cup of sugar, and I'm going to mix this up and get it smooth, and then we'll be folding in the whipped cream for the cream cheese mousse. So we added 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and now we are adding 1/2 cup of Bailey's Irish cream, and now we're going to mix that. The Bailey's and the vanilla has all been mixed in now, and I've scraped that down a couple times. So the next step is going to be to fold in the whipped cream. Now we fold the cream cheese mixture into the whipped cream. And I'm going to do this kind of half at a time. Got this nice glass bowl so you can really see what's happening. So folding, we did folding the other day when we were making the apple cake. It's just really gentle patterns with the spatula and mixing things only until they come together. To slice a cake, it's best if you have a turntable, but we don't have a turntable. So I'm just going about 1/3 of the way through each time and then picking it up and turning it. Now this is a very thick, dense cake. This is our Irish Stout Cake from yesterday. And then you just keep going closer and closer, and you'll meet back up with the area where you started. And then you just get a little bit further and further into the interior until you go all the way through. I like to cut it into strips once I've sliced it. And then we're going to put it in the bowl. All right. And then I'm going to cut it once down the center. Because of the shape of the bowl, let's talk for just a minute about a trifle bowl. So this is a really good shape and size for a trifle bowl. If you have one that has even straighter sides, that can be even better. What we're going to do is put some of the cake around the edge. We're going to basically be making layers. And so I wanted to slice that a little bit like that so that we could make that fit. What you want to think about is what people are going to see from the outside, because that's really what's going to show. And so you need to just kind of keep going around. It's going to be the tightest turn at the bottom. And then you put a little bit, and then you can fill in. You can even break it up a little bit. It doesn't matter. When people go to serve this, you're taking a big spoon and you're scooping it out just like a ice cream or a big bowl of custard or something like that. So at this point, we're just putting in little pieces of cake. So that's our very first layer. We have everything together. We've got our fresh raspberries, and we're going to use some raspberry jam. And in this case, so if you had strawberries or whatnot, it might not be such a big deal. Maybe blueberries, you can wash those and dry them. When you wash raspberries, they oftentimes are going to bleed. So since we wanted to put a little raspberry jam in this anyway, I'm actually going to mix the raspberries into the raspberry jam, and that way they won't really bleed all over the mousse, and you'll have a nicer looking presentation. We kept some raspberries aside so that we could use them on top. So I'm going to just stir these in. Looks like a lot of raspberries because it is. We are making a double batch, even though I've been giving you quantities for a single batch. If it looks like a lot, that's because it is. So in this case, you'd probably use about 2 cups of raspberries and maybe 3/4 cup of jam. So there we are. They're all gently mixed in. And now we're going to just put a thin layer of that on top of our cake. You guys see that? Just a little bit. And then you want to be sure you get it all the way out to the edges. So I might have to put a little bit more. This one trifle bowl, this would be a regular size recipe. I actually have 2.5 more trifle bowls to go after this. I think I mentioned today happens to be Thanksgiving, and whenever you're seeing this video, it won't be obviously, but we have a lot of Thanksgivings to go to and a lot of people who need dessert. So we're actually making 3 out of this one recipe. You want to think about somebody looking at the outside of the bowl and what they're going to see. And again, if you had strawberries or fresh blueberries, you'd be lining them up. You might have cut the strawberries in half, and you'd have the strawberries lined up with the half side cut out, but it's a little easier. Okay, now I have a huge bowl of mousse here. Yours will be about half that big. So this is our cream cheese mousse, and we're just going to put a nice generous layer of cream cheese mousse over those raspberries and bring it all the way out to the edges. You want to get it pretty flat. And I'm not a perfectionist. You've probably figured that out if you've watched any videos, but I do like things to look nice and appetizing and to taste good. That's the most important thing. Okay, so that's our first layer. Now we're going to repeat that. Now we have all of these pieces of cake. I'm going to just layer them right up against the edge. And again, the nice thing about trifle, now I'm going to tell you a story. The first time I ever made this particular dessert this way, I was making the Irish Stout Cake, and I had a totally different plan for it. And I had brand new hot pads, and as I was taking the cake out of the oven, the brand new hot pads were too stiff, and the cake fell over, and I flipped it over just in time to save the cake, but it was a big mess. And so I looked at it, and I thought, well, instead of making cream cheese icing, I guess I'm making cream cheese mousse, and I'm making it into a trifle. And everybody was absolutely over the moon crazy for it. So it's how it goes, I guess. It's how things are invented. You can sneak a peek at how it's looking on the side when you're making it. This is kind of an English dessert. Just somehow get a piece in here, don't I? I don't know what that's going to look like, but maybe not so perfect. Okay, time for more raspberries. So again, you want to get them all the way around to the side. This is our next layer of raspberries. Actually, we're going to have to go out and get more raspberries, it looks like, but that's just how it goes when you're making trifle. So now I'm going to add another layer of cream cheese mousse and then another layer of cake. So that's the side coming up over the top. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm filling up a pastry bag. This happens to be a little plastic disposable one with a tip in it. And then I'm going to make some decorations over the top. These are called rosettes. Oftentimes we might have a slightly bigger pastry tip here, but this one's okay. So I'm making some chocolate shavings to put around the top. We've sent someone out to the store for more raspberries, so we have some raspberries that aren't mixed in that we can also put on top. Made a few more shavings. Just putting these around. We've got some more raspberries coming, and we're going to put those right in the middle, and then it'll be done. The best way to store this is to actually put some toothpicks in it and use some saran wrap. Have a few little raspberries on top and our view from the side. We actually have a trifle assembly line going on here because not only did we make the one we made earlier, but we had extra, so now we are making a total of 3. This is the one that Teresa finished, and it's really beautiful. So I just wanted to give you a peek at this one. So she left the raspberries exposed at the edge, which I think is just a really nice touch. And that's great, beautiful.